Hey everyone, welcome to this episode of the Healing Hearts podcast, a show about self-care, healing, and topics often regarding mental health. And know that it's okay not to be okay, as like we're human and it's okay to feel human, which means we might have a lot of bad days or we might have some good days. I'm joined by Kristina, our lovely and awesome ambassador, and Kristina Meloy. Where are you joining us from today?
I am joining you from Oshkosh, Wisconsin.
How far is that from Milwaukee? It's 2 hours, right?
2.5 hours, yeah.
2.5 hours is not bad, not bad.
Depends on
And we
which way you
both,
take and traffic and everything.
that is very fair because I heard Milwaukee traffic is a little similar to Chicago in a way
Mm-hmm.
with how they drive. Me and Christine are both wearing our Healing Hearts podcast merch. She's wearing the Healing Hearts hoodie. I'm wearing also a custom version of the hoodie. Because I usually don't make myself custom
You
AW
deserve it.
clothing, but I was like, you know what? It's about time I make something. But this maroon color will be for anyone who's been on the pod. So Christina also has the maroon shirt with this on it.
Yeah, I'm wearing the
Which
maroon shirt underneath. So if I get hot, I'll take off my hoodie and you'll see it.
see, she's double representing the podcast today.
Always. But
Always out.
you all know me online as Kristina Farvor because that's my name online, but I am Kristina Meloy in person. It's a thing.
Oh yeah. And today, well, this month is October. It's Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and me and Christina are both domestic violence survivors ourselves.
Yes.
Um, let's see how. I guess to start it off is when I think about domestic violence, I think people often think of that it's just one sided. That um women can only be survivors of domestic violence, or that it's the victim's fault for being in a domestic violence situation.
Yep.
That, like, I've always heard, like, oh, what did she do or what did he do to cause their significant other to do these type of things? And it's just like, first, no one has the right to put their hands on you. They're not your parent. They're not disciplining you, and we're grown. Like, we're beyond the age of physical discipline. So
Right.
there's no need for that. Um, to ask you is, how has your journey been going from being in a situation where your safety was in danger to being years later now? Like, how has that healing journey has been? Because now you're in an awesome relationship with Michael. You guys don't have any of those issues, but I'm pretty sure, like, a lot of that pain and some of that hurt still kind of those scars are still there. I
Oh
know for
yeah, they
me,
don't
those
they
scars.
don't ever go away
Yeah.
regardless if you have so much therapy or not. They do not go away. So I had an issue before we get into that. I wanted to tell you this
Go
beforehand.
for
I
it.
had an issue last night at work when this guy, you could just tell he's violent in the
Mm.
relationship just by the way he acted and the way he gave off. You could just tell. Like one survivor from can tell.
Yeah.
Survivors can
No, for
tell.
sure.
And I wanted to go in the restroom and ask her if she was okay, but I didn't want to lose my job.
Understood.
And they have kids and everything, and I'm just like, oh, because what if he would have been like, no, that's not me, and then wanting to sue, and
Mm-hmm.
because you got to have proof,
Yeah, because you
actual
don't know how
proof.
much control that she's under. Because if even if you go to her as a fellow survivor, I've even done it myself. You don't know if she's so far under that, like,
That she'll lie.
she'll lie, or that she'll go back and maybe tell the abuser. So now she's even in a more unsafe predicament.
Yep, it
Um,
happens. It does happen. But
What do you what is your advice for people? I have advice, but what would be your advice for those who are in that situation who's not really sure how bad it is? I think that's a common thing in a relationship.
well, let me tell you what about what I went through and everything. Okay, So when we first got together, he was all sweet and kind of nice, like they usually are. And then all of a sudden, they snap on you. Like they get
Mm-hmm.
angry for something you did. And like I remember I was complimenting this guy's jacket because I thought it was so cool when we were on the bus. And he goes, "You stupid little bitch. How dare you do that?" And I'm like, "Do what? What are you talking about? You're trying to hit on him, aren't you?" I go, "No, I'm not. I thought his jacket was cool. And he's been to Texas. I was just trying to talk and, get to know the person and be friendly and kind like I am. I'm a social butterfly. That's just me. Anybody knows me knows that I'm a social butterfly." And then it went from there. Like gradually, like he would squeeze my hands really
Mm-hmm.
tightly and stuff like that. And then I got into his cell phone that he left behind that he was going to give to me, and the memory saved all the cheating he did. And I confronted him, and then he threatened to kill me. Like he literally threatened to kill me, like pushed me up against the stove and like put his hand over my mouth and says, "If you don't act right, I will fucking kill you." And the sad thing is I went to my sister for help and I told her everything. She calls him. He comes back and confronts me, and I'm denying it. Of course, I'm denying it because I don't want to. I don't want to get hurt. I denied it. I don't know if he believed me or believed her, but he kind of didn't hurt me. But when he had threatened to kill me that time, that's when I snuck away and I went to my neighbors and they paid for me to go back to Texas. But of course, he's a con man. He tricked me into going back to him saying he had cancer.
Right, right. I remember
Once
that. We
an
talked about that in the
abuser
last
gets into
pod.
your head, it's a mental thing. They stay there.
Mm-hmm.
They stay there, and you want to call them, see how they're doing. So that's what I did. Uh, let's see. So when I went back, I don't know what happened. Like he started giving me NyQuil to help me sleep because I couldn't sleep for some odd reason, and then he had he had this idea about sleeping with other people, like having a swingers relationship, I guess.
Mm. Like a open
Mm-hmm.
polyamorous relationship in a way.
So one time I was so messed up on the NyQuil because of him giving it to me, I was like delirious. We ended up having, you know, sex, and he recorded it. And then the next thing I know, he goes, "I got somebody that can join us." And I'm like, not wanting, I can't tell him no. I can't. He ended up drugging me up so we can get married. Didn't want to marry him.
Mm.
He owns me. That's what he said. He owns me with the marriage paper. "I own you now. You have to do what I say." So that's when the trafficking happened. Which I'm not. I don't. I'm not scared to talk about it. I'll tell you the whole thing. But if anytime I was like to say no or slip up, frying pan, fist to the head, the whole shebang. So I had to dumb myself down quite a bit. My best friend Renee was always like, "Why are you dumbing yourself down for him?" Because on the outside, he didn't look like a domestic violence person.
Mm-hmm.
He looked like a normal, sweet, kind, loving guy. So nobody believed me when I told them. Nobody did. The court people didn't. How do I know she didn't do it? Which I get that concept, but you gotta kind of give them the benefit of the doubt, right?
Yeah.
That's why
They,
people are so scared to come out and say something. Nobody's gonna believe them. But my best friend Renee, she believed me.
no one believed me until I showed them photos. I
Yeah,
had took photos of
the
of
sores, the
what
scars,
happened to me,
everything.
and I was just like, this is evidence of me like getting my ass kicked, like literally like photos in moment of getting my ass kicked. It was like I'm not making this up. I don't. It's too much effort to make something like that up. And I understand that there may be like half of a percentage of people out there who are making false accusations, but 99.9% of them, I would assume, is with actual survivors who are actually trying to get actively out of the situation. And because of systems, because of societal tropes, it's hard to do that. Even family. I mean, domestic violence is common in most households. Like
Hmm.
most relationships that I've seen in families, they're kind of revolved around domestic violence, about what happens in the house stays in the house, and that you need to have some sort of control over your partner. So there needs to be one dominant and one submissive, and
Right.
whatever you do to get that, then you have to do that, quote
See,
unquote.
when I was 11, and that's when my world turned upside down. My mom found me, and she found out what happened to me. She turned into a drunk,
Hmm.
and the violence happened in my household. So you grow up like that, you think it's normal. A lot of people do. They think it's normal. They think, hey, that's what love is.
I grew
That's
up
what
like
love
that.
is. That's why when I got with Michael, I waited a year, and then that one time I seriously thought he was going to hit me, and he didn't, and showed me nothing but love and kindness. I felt a free feeling because he is a survivor of domestic violence too.
Hmm.
He had it bad. And I think that's why we make it even kill thing. We even, what is that saying, to where we balance each other out? Yin and yang?
You complete each other. You make
Yeah.
each other whole.
Yeah. It's people can be happy and they can get out of the abusive relationship. They can. Hey, we just witnessed it with one of our awesome followers, Miss Sophie.
Yeah.
That
Yes.
is amazing. She messaged me because I texted her to see how she was doing, and she told me she was signing papers for a new house,
Hell
and
yeah.
that we gave her hope. That
Sh-
that's like a healing part of me.
And she
Yeah.
said the lives saved her life.
Yeah. I don't know about you, but it healed a part of me.
It did for me.
I'm starting
It
to tear up. It's amazing. We are helping people, and
yeah.
it's amazing. Ah, here I go.
Yeah.
uh,
When I read that she's safe now. I mean, that meant the world to me to hear that, because I remember being stuck in a situation that I was in, and I was just like, I don't even care if I'm gonna hit rock bottom or be kind of like go back and kind of be seen as a disappointment by my family by moving back home. But I was like, if I stay in this relationship, I'm either gonna get killed by my ex, well, by my
yeah,
partner, or I'm gonna die by suicide. I was like, I just had a suicide attempt because of her. Like, she was not
but
the end all be all reason, but that was like the breaking point for me, getting my ass kicked. And I'm just like, what's the point? Like, what's the
exactly.
entire point of life? I was like, I spent my whole life fighting for purpose and fighting for meaning in this world, and then I get into this relationship. It's my first love. Um, I knew for a fact that I was deeply in love, and I thought this was what love was. And it started
Exactly.
off the same way. It was like really nice, couple of little comments here and there, but I'm like, biggie. I mean, like, people say certain things,
You're
and then
because you're you because of your trauma from when
right,
you were little. You're used to all the bullying. You're
right,
you because you get it all the time. You tell me
yeah,
yourself.
yeah,
In which I want to go out and snap somebody's neck if they're rude to you. If we were in person, hanging out in person, and somebody was to do that, I will go off. Don't think I won't.
I
Sorry, big
believe you.
sister's coming out.
Nah, I believe you. Trust me. She still goes off when she sees it happen in public. And I grew up in a domestic violence household. Like, one of my
Yeah.
youngest memories is my mom and my dad, like, my hitting each other with a 2x4 with a piece of wood. like I was 4 years old when that memory occurred, and I remember feeling depression for the first time, just having this pure sadness and feeling like a burden. So I've seen domestic violence like pretty much my whole life growing up, and I remember the
So you
first
think it's
time.
normal?
Yeah, I think it's
That's
like
what
a
we
part of it.
kids do. You grow up in a house like that, you think it's normal. It's not.
No, it's not.
Period. It's not.
And, and I had this whole belief that I was like, okay, if this ever happens in my relationship, I'm gonna work harder than what my parents did. My mom tried her hardest to help my dad, but I was like, I could do better than that. If it ever happened to me, I could do better than that. And so I remember one day I came home from work, and I remember this wasn't necessarily the first time she put her hands on me, but this was like a time that became more consistent. Like
Yeah.
this is when the consistency happened. This is when like when this moment happened, it started to happen like every other day from that point on. And I came home from work, and I sat on the couch. Sat on the couch, sitting there, still having my mechanic gear on. I still have grease from the bikes that I worked on. I still had it on my face, and I'm just sitting there, just kind of just like mentally digressing, just kind of spacing out, just sitting there. I had said, "Hey," I
Josh, you
had said, "Out."
froze.
Uh, all good. All right. Hey everyone. Sorry for the pause. A little technical error, but we're back. I was going with that. I was sitting on a couch and I had like this bike mechanic grease on my face. I had already told her, I was like, "Hey, I love you. How are you doing?" We like kind of talked about our days a little bit. And she's sitting on her computer, and she had asked me a question. Like I don't even remember what it was. I was sitting there just zoned out on the couch, just kind of just spacing out. Really, really long day, and she had asked me a question, and I didn't reply because I just wasn't mentally there. So she asked me the question the second time, and I was like, "Huh?" And she was like, "Why you look at me so stupid?" And I was like, "I didn't hear
Mm.
you." I'm like, "I'm sorry." I'm like, "I just, I'm just having like a mini brain fog right now." I'm like, "It's been a really long day." It used to take me 2 hours, almost up to 2 hours to get to work. And then I was a bike mechanic, which as the job that I had at that moment was that I would ride around Chicago on the company's bicycle and fixing bikes around Chicago. So I would bike up to 27 miles a day in an 8 hour shift. And then I would bike home
Right.
with the company bike, and I would dock it
Oh
in
my
a
god,
station
you
that is
no wonder
nearby.
you're exhausted.
Yeah, so I was just exhausted. It was like 80, 85 degrees that day, like it was
Oh
hot.
my gosh. I
And
would do the same thing. I'd be like
yeah,
pass
I was just sitting there, and I was just like, "I'm sorry." I'm like, "What did you say?" And she had asked like, what were we gonna eat tonight?" And I was like, "I don't know. Like, I don't have an idea. Like, I just kind of want to just take a shower, and I kind of want to nap, and then we could talk about food after." And I took the shower, I got out, and then I came and sat back on the couch, and I asked, like, I was like, "Hey, how are you doing now?" and everything. And she looked at me and she was like, you just got this dumbass look on your face." And she came over and slapped me like straight right there on the couch. And then she went and sat back down where she was sitting, which was a few feet away. And I'm just like, "Yo, like, what the fuck was that for?" And she was like, I just had to get that smart ass look off your face. I was like,
I've had that.
"I didn't do
I've had
anything."
him
I'm like,
say that to me too.
I'm just tired. I'm like, "Sorry if it looks like I have an attitude, but like I don't. I'm just tired. Like I'm working really hard." I'm like, I think it was like my third week of doing that hike, doing that biking 27 miles a day. And
Mhm.
from that point on, because I didn't even like, because my mom had always told me as a kid, she was like, if someone hits you, you're supposed to hit them back. But I knew in that moment I couldn't do that. And I think when she realized that I was going to accept the defeat of that, that's when she made it more acceptable for her to use that kind of
Yep.
discipline. But it would start with like her having nightmares. She would have a nightmare about anything, random things. She would wake up from the nightmare and kick me off the bed, regardless of where I landed. I got like a foot like this, and kicked off the bed. And I would wake up to me like falling off the bed. And that's something that had happened like 5 times up until that point. And I didn't really I've always believed that I think one of the reasons why survivors stay in those relationships so long is I think because if you're the person that loves the most, which is the victim is usually the one that has the most love. We grow up believing that you're supposed to love someone in sickness and in health. And I believe that anger that turns into violence is one of those sicknesses. The mental health can be a sickness. And I'm
Yeah.
supposed to be there and support you and to give you everything that you need so that you can become the better version of yourself that you need for you. And that's where I became this fixer that I need to fix this relationship. I need to fix her. I need to fix this situation and
Yep.
not tell anyone about what's going on. I kept it all a secret until it was too late. And when it was too late, it was when my mom had already knew a couple of things. My mom heard me fall on the floor a couple of times because she spent nights at my house, at my mom's house, and my mom's room is directly under my room. She was like,
Right.
"Why you?" She's like, "You ain't never fell out the bed your whole life." She's like, "How you just now all of a sudden falling out your bed?" I was like, "Oh, it's kind of weird sleeping in the bed with another person, you know." I'm like, I just underestimate the space. I'm just lying my ass off. I'm just like, you know how
Right.
you just underestimate the space. You think you have all of this space to roll, but you really don't. And
Mhm.
she was like, "Yeah, right." But she's like, "Okay, whatever." Um, it wasn't until Thanksgiving she came over, and I had just got my ass beat because we had a Zoom Thanksgiving. It's one of the first Thanksgivings during COVID, so none of us could all hang out with each other. We did my family Thanksgiving on Zoom. And so it was my dad's family, it was my mom's family. We're all on Zoom. It's like 20 of us in here. It felt like a college seminar. It was great. And she wouldn't sit down next to me for the family Zoom, even though she knows everyone that's in here.
Mhm.
And when she sat down next to me, she's just like, "Who is that?" I'm like, "You know who that is." I'm like, "That's my mom, that's my brother, that's my aunt." And so she's like, "I don't want to sit here for the Zoom." I was like, "All right, cool. Then I'll just sit here and hang out with family for however long we ended up being there." So we ended up being there for like 2 hours in the Zoom. And from time to time, she would sit down next to me, kind of be nosy about what everyone's doing, and then kind of go back to doing her thing. And then afterwards, she grabbed me and she's like, "I don't want to ever do that shit ever again with joining the Zoom call." She was like, "That was disrespectful. I didn't like how you didn't give me any attention during the 2 hours. No one has to be in the Zoom that long." I was like, most family engagements are even longer than 2 hours. I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm like, 2 hours is the bare minimum.
Yeah, bare
And
minimum. That's how we are. We go over to the family's house, try to do 2 hours, sometimes
yeah,
longer, depends, and then we're gone.
right. And I don't remember the middle part, but I remember that like I tried to like go sit in the room. She was cooking Thanksgiving dinner, which didn't go that well. But I went to go sit in the room and I closed the door and I believed I locked it. But there's two ways to get into the bedroom. You can get in through the bathroom or you can get in through the living room. And I locked the living room door, but I didn't lock the bathroom one. And she came in there and grabbed me and like literally started choking me. And so now I'm kind of like trying to escape, trying not to put my hands on her, trying to like keep this distance away. And that's how I ended up taking all of these photos. Cause I'm like, yo, you're really batshit crazy. Like, this is literally some crazy shit that's going on. And she's
Right.
laughing. She's having this Chucky laugh while she's like literally like
Psycho.
doing WWE
Narcissistic
moves on
psycho.
me. Yeah, narcissistic psycho. She's like, "I'm not crazy. You deserve this." And I remember hearing that when she said, "I deserve this," I think that's when I like mentally relapsed. Like when I heard that, I thought about all of the things that I've heard over the years from like my dad, from family members saying that I shouldn't be alive, or hearing the strangers in public. Hearing her say that, I think was like what really broke me down internally. And I was like, if I don't wake up in the morning, that's fine. Like that's when I started to develop, like having really strong suicidal thoughts. And I was actually planning on my exit from that moment on. And what ended that fight was my mom called. My mom called while I was getting my ass beat, and she stopped. My mom was like, "Hey, I'm down the street. I'll be there in a few minutes. I'm gonna drop you and let's call her Beth.
Yeah, let's do
I'm
that.
gonna drop you and Beth off some food, and then I'm gonna go back home." She's like, "I just left your brother's house. Your house is not that far. Here I come." And so I ended up talking her into like, so when I got off the phone, uh, I ended up talking her into like leaving me alone so I can get dressed, so I clean up because I had a busted lip. I had a busted lip. I had a scratch on my face. Like, let me clean up. Let me refresh because my mom's coming. And when I went downstairs, my mom had finally came. My mom was like, "Why are you wearing a hospital mask?" She was like, She's like, "You've never worn a hospital mask in front of me since COVID started. So why now?" She's like, "And we're outside. We're not inside." She's like, "What's going on?" It's like, "Oh, I'm just a little under the weather." But she was like, "I just talked to you earlier. You said you were fine." Um, and I just kept lying. I just kept lying.
Your
She knew I
mama
was.
see right through you because
Yeah,
she's your
she
mama.
knew I was
She's your
lying.
mama.
And she was like, "Take it off." She was like, "Take it off." She was like, "I know what's going on in this apartment." She was like, "But take it off." And so I took it off. She saw the busted lip. She saw the scratch on my face. And she was just like, "You deserve so much more than that." She was like, "You don't deserve what she's putting you through." She's like, "I know you love her. I know you love her to death, but she's going to be the death of you."
Yep.
And when she said that, Beth came outside and came in like just like, "Why are you out here so long? Why are you guys talking about me?" And we're like, "We're not even talking about you. Like, what's going on?" And she was like, "You've been out here too long. You supposed to just come out here and get the food and come back inside." I'm like, "I'm out here talking to my mom, your mother-in-law. You want to say hey to her?" Uh, She's like, "No." And she just stood there on the curb and just watched us. And so my mom was really polite and just kind of like, and had a conversation with her. And that whole time, I was just like in my head, like, I don't like believe in mom. Like, I don't think this is for me, but I don't know how to leave this situation. And then more fights happened after that. Me getting kicked in the groin, me getting like going through all of these like different assaults in the middle of the night. I got people have seen this in my night routine, but I have these two nasal plastic tubes that go up my nose to help me breathe at night.
Mm-hmm.
One of the nights closer to my suicide attempt, uh, I had them in, and we usually like I can still kiss with them in, like I can still kiss. We've done it thousands of times, like literally thousands of times. But this particular night, um, I think it was something along the lines that like I was too tired to watch TV that night or something like that. I was like, I just kind of want to go to sleep tonight. Like, can't watch TV, just want to go to sleep. And like I proceeded to lay down. And she took the nasal trumpet, that's what I call it, and she shoved it up my nose to the point where like it gave me a nosebleed. And that's one of the reasons why I have to have surgery coming up, because she gave me permanent damage in my nose from that. And I remember it was blood going everywhere all over the pillowcase. I'm like freaking out. I'm like choking on it because it's going in the back of my throat. And she's just sitting there on the side of the bed, on her side of the bed, just on her phone, just scrolling, while I'm dripping blood all over the bathroom. It's everywhere. I mean, literally a massacre just
Her,
coming out of my
her
nose.
and my abusive ex would make the perfect couple.
Yeah,
For real.
probably, definitely,
Oh,
definitely.
I left a lot of stuff out that I would like to say, actually, if you don't mind.
No, go for it.
But no, I got hot, so I'm taking off the hoodie.
Okay.
No, I went to different. Go ahead and finish. Go ahead and finish, honey.
Um, After like trying to fix it up, trying to get the nose back together. I mean, just like all blood, shoving tissue up there to get it to stop bleeding, and then like I couldn't even sleep laying down at night because there was just too much blood going back. I ended up sleeping on the couch like this. I like put my arms up on the couch and like I just leaned my head against the wall, and I went to sleep like that night. She didn't help me at all. I didn't prop my head up or nothing of that. She didn't check to see if I was okay. But she did ask. She was like, "So you're done crying yet?" She's like, "It's too." She's like, "You're being too loud. I'm trying to sleep." And then the next 2 weeks later, that's when we had our last fight, and then I had my suicide attempt. And I was just like, I am so done with life. And my nose was in such of a. It's better now. It's been healing. It healed itself to the point where like it's okay now, but I still have to have surgery because it's permanent damage. But like at that time, I couldn't breathe through my nose for the next several months. Like after that, like my nose was just fucked up. Um, and leaving that relationship, there is so much pain there because it's like, how do you love someone so much and they can do that to you? And even then, I almost went to jail for all of this because she went and told her family that I was the abuser and that I was doing all of these things, and they believed her because of
Yep.
the whole thing that like, oh, she's just not beating your ass for no reason. You got to be putting your hands on her, right? I'm just like,
Exactly. That's what happened to me
no.
too. Oh,
Uh,
sure.
go
Yeah.
for,
Me bleeding because somebody that he sold me to liked to go from the back. If you get my drift.
yeah.
To where I'm broken downstairs to where I had to be rushed to the hospital to get stitches and have surgery. Yet it's my fault. I chose to have sex with all those men and women. It was my idea when it wasn't. We're the bad guy. It was me that needed it. I'm obsessed with sex, or what is it called when you're a nympho or something,
Yeah, no,
nymphomaniac.
yeah, yeah.
That's what he told his family. It was all me. Yeah, like I really wanted to do that from behind and actually go and have surgery. Let me tell you.
She told me I was the one keeping her against her will. She said she had to
Yeah,
force herself out of the apartment when I
same.
was gone for hours. I left willingly.
What? Uh, I mean, it's kind of like I don't want to laugh about it because they stupid.
Yeah, they lack accountability, but they want you to be accountable for every imperfection that you have on your body.
But let me tell you something, mister. You are worth so much. You're an amazing person and you're saving so many people's lives.
We are saving so many people's lives.
Yeah. And I'm so glad I met you. You're my little brother. If I was to see her in public, I might snap her neck and go to jail.
You're not the first person to say that. You're not going to be the last person.
I know. Because you're hearing your story, it breaks my heart. I know you've told me some stuff before, the pod. And you've told me a lot actually, and I know actually her name.
Hmm.
But if she's listening to this, she you know what I mean. I mean, you know me
Yeah,
better than anybody.
yeah,
Well, you and Michael know me better than anybody.
yeah.
So let me tell you something. Women can be just as violent, just as controlling,
Just as manipulative.
narcissistic. You can ask Mama Tot. She was talking about it on her TikTok not that long ago. I mean, look at her mama.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm getting over a cold, people. So I had to get a cough drop and
No,
my
no, no. That's
lips
cool. That's cool.
swollen. I just want to let them know.
Go for it.
And my lips swollen because I bit down on it really hard and I had to go get a new piercing because my other piercing was being swallowed by my lip. So that's why it's swollen. I've been icing it. If I don't ice it, Joshua's gonna ground me.
Yes. Would you like to tell them why you bit it? Because I think the trigger is related to your domestic violence, right?
Yes. At first, I had a nightmare a week ago. I had two. One about the abuse. I haven't had one in a long time. A really long time. And then I had one about my brother dying. And I don't know why my first automatic thing was to bite my lip, because the last thing he would ever did to me was put his hand down on my mouth and the teeth would go straight through my lip. I don't know if it's a mental thing. It used to trigger me, seeing something like this, and I would cry and flip out, but it doesn't anymore. I got snapped at work, and I wasn't apologized to. It was by a female. And then a balloon popped. A balloon, mind you. And I blacked out. PTSD. I will always have PTSD for the rest of my life, and so will you. Anybody who has
Yeah.
PTSD, you won't get rid of it. There are
Yeah.
coping mechanisms. I couldn't do my breathing. All I did was cry. And I kept crying and crying and crying. That's why my eyes are swollen. It's from all the crying. But I actually feel a lot better now that I did cry, though. Sometimes you just need to cry.
You gotta let it out. Gotta let it out. And even
And
when
that's
you
a good.
have
I
it,
haven't been. I've been holding it in, doing me and trying to do better and stuff like that. And I haven't had a really good cry. I mean, I tear up and stuff, like watching romantic comedies and romantic stuff. And with Michael, well, we both tear up together. We're cheesy macaroni like that. And that's it. Like, we tear. He's the same way. Like, he won't cry until we start talking about his past
hmm
or something, and like his grandmother when she had passed. And I was his best friend, was his grandmother. And he will cry hard.
me and my G pops,
Mm-hmm.
I can relate to him on that. It's hard. It's hard to cry. It's really hard, as just from my perspective as a man. It's hard to cry, especially if you grew up in that toxic malehood environment where you're told that
Not to cry.
if you cry, you're a bitch
Oh,
boy. If you cry, you need to, like, for my dad, it was like, if you guys cry, you guys need to. Well, I need to put you in. I need to go buy some panties, put you in some panties, and make you wear them in front of your friends, and let them see the bitch boy that you are. Like, that I hear that saying over and over again in my head when I think about being emotional. And I'm more emotionally available now than ever. But that last little bit, that part that you need in order to cry is like,
yeah.
I have to be really emotionally overwhelmed in order to actually get me to cry. And I always think about, like, I blame my dad for that. And the crazy thing about it, he can cry on command. He can cry
I
like a
know you
snap
told me
of his
about the
finger.
funeral and everything.
Yeah, he
See,
cries no problem.
my abusive ex would never let me cry. If I was to cry, he'd hit me. And so for years, 2 years, I couldn't cry. The last 2 years I was with him, because it was mostly four. I left and came back, and so it's considered four. I couldn't cry. I wasn't allowed to. So I was numbed up to it. So when I got with Michael and we cried when he had to go, I cried when he had to go back home because we just mesh swapped.
I remember you told me.
He cried too. And that was the first time I was ever to cry. And it felt so good. God, it felt good. So now I actually cry when people talk stern to me. Like really stern, I would start crying. And people are like, God, she's nothing but a sensitive, whiny bitch. And I'm like, you've never been through if you knew the life I lived,
Mm-hmm.
you wouldn't say that to me.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, survivors.
Yeah.
We're not victims.
We're
We are not
survivors.
victims. We are survivors,
Yes.
and we have a special bond. We can lean on each other. I tried to commit suicide a couple of times because of it. It didn't succeed,
We're
and this is
thankful that it
I
didn't
believe
succeed.
this is why. This is why, so we could tell our story
Yes.
and save people.
Yes. And in return, it helps us heal too. And I thank you always, just for not only for just being here in this world, Kristina, but also being the amazing person that you are, to go through all of that hell. I mean, like literally over 10 years of that hell, and to still believe in the sliver of hope and hold that through. You had a Renee that saved your life, and I mean, I always thank Renee for giving you the opportunity that she did give you, because who knows where you would have been now. And we don't even want to think about it. I
No.
don't even want to think about what would happen if I didn't even, if I, maybe even
I'd
if
be
I
dead
didn't.
right now. If she didn't step in, I would have been dead. Hands,
Yeah.
hands to God, I would be dead. I would be. She saved my life. And she knows it too. She's got the flu, or she's recovering from the flu right now.
Okay.
Because they've been working on their house in Kentucky.
We hope you feel better, Renee, if you're watching this.
Yes, yes. She needs to feel better. Her and her husband, wonderful people. You would love them. You would really like them.
Probably would. I'm a great people's person, and I think
Oh yeah, you
even
are.
for me, if I was still in that situation, even if my mom was probably like, I can't come back home, I probably would have stayed in that apartment. I'm more than likely I would be dead myself.
Yeah.
I would either
I'm
died
glad
by
you left.
suicide or
I
I would have
am.
died by her. And she would tell me, now I got the waterworks. When she would hit me and I would say, ow, I remember she would be like, you have a higher pain tolerance than me. So you shouldn't be complaining about this. This isn't nothing. Because you've been through 60 surgeries. You have a way higher pain tolerance than me.
No.
And I remember the one time that like I had actually like flinched back at her. Like I just kind of just like flinched at her. And I remember she made me pay for that. She made me pay for
Yeah.
that.
That's
She
what I
was
did.
like,
I
"You
stood up
have
to
no right to
Jackass
do that."
and
You go for it.
I stood up to Jackass. That's why he tried to kill me. They don't like that. They don't like you
No, they don't
standing
like that
up
at
for
all.
yourself. Not at all.
No,
Oh, I'm so glad you're out of that relationship, Josh.
I'm glad. I'm glad me, you, and all other survivors that are out of it, and I'm always wishing the best for those who are still stuck in it. And even my advice for those who are trying to get out of those kind of relationships is first understanding that it is bad. At coming to
Yeah.
acceptance of how bad shit really is one of the first ways to building up your mental, your mind, your mental awareness to understand that like I need better. I need something outside of this, because there's so much of a hold that trauma plays and that they play on your life, and they're intimate with you, which is a very strong bond with
Yeah.
it being someone that you're intimate with. Having that first level of awareness, saying that this is really bad, and that regardless of how much they said that they love me, that that doesn't that doesn't justify the trauma and the pain that I've been through, the
Exactly.
physical abuse, the sexual abuse, the humiliation, because there's a lot of public humiliation in these kind of relationships. I
Oh
got
yeah.
humiliated in public with her a couple of times. I it's not worth any of that. It's
No.
worth way more than that. And there's more resources developing by each week that are allowing there to be women's shelters for those who are trying to escape domestic violence, trying to escape sex trafficking,
Yeah.
or abusive relationships. There's shelters for that. There's I don't know if anybody knows about CHA, but it's called Section 8 housing. Section 8 housing will bump you up the wait list if you are in a domestic violence situation,
Yeah.
or if you're a victim of ongoing sexual assault. They will bump you up the list for that. They won't keep you at the bottom. They'll bump you up to try to get you better off, because it is statistically known that if a survivor comes out and asks for help and they don't get the help, and then the abuser is aware of the survivor, of the victim trying to get help, it's statistically known that the victim has a high chance of being murdered by the abuser, because
Yeah.
of them keep trying to escape, and people aren't helping them escape. And so now there's becoming a lot more resources and confidentiality policies to protect you and to protect victims from their stories being heard by someone else, because it's a small world. People know one another. So there's a lot of policies that are in place that are in place to protect victims, so that they can have a next so they can have hope for a better tomorrow, without constantly being abused, without being a prisoner to their abuser, so where they can be free. And you deserve freedom. If you're listening to this and you're in an abusive relationship, you deserve
Yes.
freedom. You deserve a life of happiness. You don't deserve to walk around here with a fake smile, and then you're feeling absolutely prisoner inside of your body. You deserve to be you, and your body is sacred.
Yeah, that is so true. So, so true. When, you go to the hospital, they
Hmm.
ask you, are you safe in the home
Hmm.
and
I hate
everything?
how they ask that
In
when
front
there's someone
of
else.
yes.
Yes.
And you can't say, no, you're not safe. I actually told the ultrasound tech that was in Florida, and I told her, I'm not safe. She didn't do anything at all. So yeah, they need to change that. There's some things that needs to be changed, but there
Yes.
are a lot of things out there that are implemented for you to get help. Come to
Yes.
us. Come to me.
And I don't know if you've learned
Instagram
about
me.
this, but this is kind of like a silent "I need help." It's you do this, and then you keep going like that, and you make
Yep.
eye contact with the person who's like looking at you. You go like you
Yeah.
just keep
There's
going
no
like,
none of this.
yeah,
None of this.
none of
It's
this. It's
yeah.
this, and then you just close. It could be either or hand, and
Yeah.
you just go like that until someone helps you. And don't
But you
and I
gotta
mean
do
you
it if they're there. You can even do it like
yeah,
quietly.
you could be discreet with it. I've never
But
had to
other
use this, but I've
people
learned
need
about it
to
recently.
understand what the signals are.
Hmm.
But like I said, my inbox is open on Instagram. I mean, I go check my reserve messages just to be on the safe side, just
Yes.
in case. Um, if I don't follow you back on TikTok, which is so weird. If you don't follow them back, you can't message them. I
Yeah,
mean,
that
they
is
say you
weird.
can message them, but they don't see it.
Yeah, I
So
don't
that's
like
why
that
I'm like,
either.
Instagram, you can message somebody. They might see it, they might not, but that's why I always check my hidden messages.
And let me pull up the domestic
Oh, we're
violence.
twinning.
And yeah, we
Twin.
are twinning.
Hang on, hang on. Don't move, don't move, don't move. Let me see if I can take a screenshot. Ready?
Okay, got
One,
you.
two, three. Yeah, I did it.
Nice. You got to send that to me.
Oh,
I'm
of
pulling up the
course.
hotlines right now just so I can say them out loud. I'll put them on the screen later in editing. But
Yes, I love that you do that. I love that.
the National Domestic Violence Hotline number is 24/7. It's confidential. They also have a chat that you can text. And I've actually texted the chat when I was in that abusive relationship. And they were the ones that also told me that like I'm worth way more than what I was going through in that relationship, and that I
That's
do
good.
need to find a way to talk to loved ones, to find a point of safetyness. So that was after the Thanksgiving I had contacted them. So the phone number is 800, so that's 800-799-7233, or you can text start to 88788, and they takes about probably less than 30 seconds to be in contact with someone. The National Sexual Assault Hotline number is 24/7 as well, and it's confidential. It is 800, which is 800-656-4673. And they also have an online chat as well, which is hotline.rain. So it would be HOTLINE .RAINN
Come
slash
on.
online.
Sorry, I'm not talking to you. Keep going.
Oh, okay, my bad.
No, you're
And
fine. You didn't know.
those hotlines are just really helpful because though the call centers are usually based not that far from where you're calling in from. Each state has allocated money to these call centers, and so these call centers are able to provide you with resources, with local resources around you to help you out in your local area, to help you get the support, the access, and the help that you need, because help is available. Help is available and hope is available, and it exists. Just have to We have to do the initial step, which is a little risky, but it's speaking up. And
Yep, you got to speak
it's
up.
it's not a it's not a sign of weakness to speak up and to ask for help. It's a sign of strength.
Yep.
Also, you could text 988 if you want to, for the suicide prevention hotline number as well.
Yep.
988 has a lot of these resources in their catalog, in their database as well. That's also still a local call centers also. I don't know if they're all in the same department, quote unquote, because it would be similar, but they all have governmental funding. The call centers are in each state. Um, and they can give you state resources based off of where you are to help you get help. And they will even call 911 for you and try to get help sent to you. And 911, you can also, now I don't know how great it is, but I've been told that you can text 911 now. And you can get help by texting 911, and they'll come help you out. And so this is help survivors who are in an ongoing domestic violence relationship, or going through an assault. If you're hiding and you have a few moments, those texts can really save lives and can continue to save lives. And so, even I hope anyone's listening to this, they can share this to loved ones, and they can have this be a resource that help them if they're even in a situation, which I hope that no one's in a situation, but they do exist. These toxic
Yeah, they do.
relationships do exist, and they're a lot more
There's so many
prevalent
out
than we
there.
would like to realize. Yeah, they're out there. You
Hmm.
never know. You could look perfect. You could look like a picture perfect couple. I remember everyone called us the Barbie and Kent doll couple. They're like, oh my god, you guys are just so perfect together. But like literally behind closed doors, it was like literally a
Yep.
nightmare most times.
Yep. Oh yeah.
What would you say has been the best part of your healing journey from domestic violence?
The freedom.
Freedom.
Yeah. Not being hurt anymore.
When did
Feeling
you
free
realize
enough
you
to
were free?
cry, to feel able to cut my hair. Like he wouldn't let me cut my hair.
Hmm.
And the freedom of me cutting my hair, and now I can style it any which way I want. If he was to see me like that, he'd probably lose his shit.
Mm.
Oh, you look like a boy. Yeah. But the freedom to do that kind of stuff. I'm with someone who he said, shave your head bald, I still love you and find you attractive. And that's amazing to me.
Mm.
Oh, yeah, the freedom. What about
What
you?
was your Okay, I'll answer. For me, it was understanding that I didn't know who I really was after I left that relationship. Like, she
Yeah.
had stripped so much from me. She hated my photography pretty much. So, and I was a photography major. I'm graduating college at the time of leaving this relationship. So it was like a lot of the passions that I had for photography, I had to like either keep on the low key, like not really involve her with it. But it was COVID, so I was taking a lot of photos around the house.
Yeah.
So it was really weird leaving that relationship and like realizing that it's like there's so much of my life that made me who I was, and leaving that relationship I realized that a lot of who I was in that relationship wasn't entirely who I was as a person.
Exactly.
She made me
Finding
stop playing
yourself
video
again.
games. Huh?
You have to find yourself again.
I had to, and it
Same, I did
was
too.
forgiving myself and
Yes,
having that
forgiving
moment
and
in the
loving
mirror.
yourself again.
Yes, having
Oh
that
yeah.
moment in the mirror that I've talked about coming home from work, having that work related injury, which is this foot that I have. And I went into the mirror in the basement. I've talked about this story a couple times. This is how Admire was born. Went into the mirror in the basement, the same mirror that I bullied myself in front of for years, like over 10 years.
Mhm.
And I stood there with all of this pain, still having suicidal thoughts. I can't even drive. Like at this point, I couldn't really drive alone. Like I had to have my mom on the phone, even if it was just her just breathing or something. That like helped me not feel alone because I was like, I had this feeling like if I drive in the car without no one being present to me driving, I might die in this car. Like I still had
Yeah.
the urge to because I almost killed myself in my car. So
Mhm.
and I almost felt like I should have got my keys revoked, but I was still working. So it's like I kind of have to keep driving this vehicle I almost tempted to end my life in. So every day on the way to work, she would talk to me about anything, any
I
random
love
shit.
your mom.
For 2 hours, she talked to me about random shit like
Mhm.
Murray Show, Jerry Springer, the news, like
Anything.
politics, anything. And so I'm sitting there in front of the mirror. I'm having all of these suicidal thoughts and telling myself I hate myself. I have this foot injury. So now I'm limping now. My nose is still messed up. My doctor had just told me that I have permanent nose damage, that I might need a whole new nose, which means this nose is going to have to be entirely removed and I'm going to have to start over. Um, just crazy, just so much going, just pressure and pain. Also, I'm not breathing right. My breathing is really off. I'm having panic attacks. I never knew what a panic attack was. And I
Right.
stood in front of the mirror and I was just like, I admire you. I admire you for not giving up. And having that moment in the mirror, looking at myself, saying that, it was like the first moment in my entire life where I gave myself self love and self care. It was like I didn't no longer need the validation of others that I've relied on. That's how I ended up in a relationship. Is she validated me so much that like
Yeah.
I thought that that's what I needed, and it was in that moment in that mirror where I said, "I admire you. I admire you for not giving up." Is when I realized I was like, I have what I need. I have me. I have myself, and I don't know how I'm gonna get through this, but you, which is myself, you just told me how to get through it, and we're gonna get through this. And it just felt like so much of relief off my chest. It made me realize that like I know it's pretty bad right now, but with what I just said in that mirror and how heartfelt that was, I know I can get through this. I know that I can see the other side of this. I don't know how, I don't know when, I don't know how long it's going to take, but I know that what I did there, I can keep doing that and keep building upon that self-love, that self-care, and I can get better. And I was in counseling. I remember I told my counselor what I did in the mirror, and that trajectory of like really building myself back up allowed me to be inspired to create Admireware
Yeah.
and to build this whole thing and help others who are also struggling with suicidal thoughts, who are also at the bottom of their life, who also may be the strongest people in their family. Like I'm considered the strongest person in my family, but yet I've had some of the weakest days. I swear on my life, I've had some of the weakest days where like
Yeah.
I didn't even want to wake up in the morning. Like if I woke up in heaven, it is what it is. And having this community be there for everyone and be there for those people who are the pillars of that family be who might not be at the point where they can be honest about their vulnerabilities because they're seen as this icon, but this brand could help them have the moment where they're in privacy and they can heal and understand that they're not by themselves.
Yeah.
And that has
I love
helped me
admire
too.
work. Saved me. Mama taught you and admire wear. It helped
Yeah.
me a lot. People are wondering, like, if you're with such a good guy, why would you need to be saved? Well, mental health happens. It just
Yeah.
does. Thoughts happen. When
Mm-hmm.
you're trying to heal, things come up.
Mm-hmm.
Things that you don't ever want to remember. And mental health happens to where you don't even want to get out of bed, shower,
Yeah.
any of that. And I remember when I found out about my tumor and getting on TikTok and seeing Mama Tot, she saved me. And then in her, when she introduced you, oh yeah,
That
I've healed
was
in so many
you
ways.
got your diagnosis this time last year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, you're spot on, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. I kind of remember the timelines because
Yeah, it
Mama
was
Tot
around this. It
showed
was
up.
around this close time, close to the time. Um, yeah, I'm so glad
So,
she does what she does, and people take her for granted because just because she can't respond right away, because she has so many followers.
yeah.
People take that woman for granted, and they're so mean to her, and she deserves the world,
Yeah. I'm
just like
trying to
you.
get better at replying to everyone. One day we'll get to the point where it'd be a lot better than what it is now in terms of
Well, yeah,
replying
you're
to
still
people.
trying to get AdmireWare perfect. You're in
Yes.
a warehouse now.
Yeah.
You got an ambassador now.
Yes.
You'll be getting more good ambassadors, and we'll help
Yes.
you. We'll be
Yes.
like a family, and we'll help you. That way, you're not alone in this.
Hey man, I
Okay?
mean we're not alone now. Definitely having you and having Sophie, Robert,
Yeah.
and a few others close admirer allies have been just really helpful. Even from the Ellie from the rock bottom up.
Yes, I love
Uh,
her.
sh- she's awesome. She's a rock star for real.
Mm-hmm. She's another person y'all need to check out. Besides AdmireWare, check out
Yeah.
From the Rock Bottom Up. She's on Instagram. I don't know about TikTok, but her mental health
Uh,
stuff, that's all she's focused on is
yeah.
mental health. She's been doing it for a long time.
Yeah.
I highly recommend her.
I'll put her information up on the screen too. I'll
Yeah.
edit that in so you guys can see that. But definitely follow her and check her out. Let's see what would be. I guess what's a question that you have,
What do you mean?
or or something that like a message of hope that you want to give someone who's a survivor of domestic violence or
Okay.
going through it.
Don't give up. Just don't. Don't give up. You are worth way more than the way they're treating you. Whether you're with a male, female, he, she, whatever. I don't mean that in a bad way with the LGBTYQA community because I'm bisexual. I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just whoever you are with, whatever their gender is, you are worth way more than the way they treat you. And to hang in there, there is hope. Message
Mm-hmm.
me, reach out to Josh, comment. He'll
Yeah.
get there. If he doesn't, I will see it and I will reach out myself some way, somehow. We are here for you. There is hope at the end.
Yes.
There is hope, there is light at the end of the tunnel.
Yes.
Me and him have both gone through the ringer and we made it to the other side. So can you.
Yes.
That's what I have to say.
Thank you for that, and thank
Yeah.
you for just your openness, your honesty, your vulnerability, and even just willing to share this with the world. Um, I just thank you for all of the work that you do in this community, and just even in life with the kind heart and the like how you touch people's lives, even when you're working in a diner and when you're out in public. I really thank you for that. For me, it's my message of hope for anyone who's struggling or who's going through it or even out of it
Mm-hmm.
is that it's not over. Like it's not like your story isn't over until your faith that you believe in, because I'm open to people having their faiths, but it isn't over until time is over. But until then, each and every day brings a new possibility. Each and every day brings a new moment of hope.
Yep.
Each and every day there's a potential opportunity for you to ask for help and to get help. And even if you might have missed that window where you like, I'm too scared to ask for help today, it doesn't stop you from motivating yourself to ask for help for tomorrow or asking help next week. I mean, I mean, I kept what I was going through a secret for a really long time, but eventually I did reach out,
Yep.
and I fought for that survival, and know that even though this may be a living situation that you're in, this might be a financial hole that you're in, this might be emotional, sexual, intimate hole that you're in,
Kids.
this it or kids or a marriage or even a business, it doesn't have like your life doesn't have to end because of those attachments.
Right.
Those attachments do make it harder, but there's always hope for getting out of that. There's help, there's resources for how to get out of those situations. And kids just want to see the best for both of their parents.
Yeah.
You know,
They don't
good
want
and
they don't want to
bad.
see them fighting or
No,
anything
they
like
don't want to
that.
see they don't want to see that. People,
So
my
get out while
mom,
you can.
get out while you
Kids don't
can.
deserve that either.
They don't deserve that. They don't deserve to go through that trauma. They don't deserve to go through seeing that, and they will understand in their own time when they're able to
Yes.
understand.
Yes, they
And
will
but trust
understand. Trust me.
trust me on that. Like
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a product of a domestic violence household, and I remember telling
Same.
my mom that like I think it's time for us to move out. I think it's time for us to have freedom, and freedom exists for you.
Yeah.
Like freedom exists for you regardless of how old you are, how young you are. You still have so much more to give to this world. And that trauma doesn't need to hold you back from being who you're made to be.
Yes.
'Cause you're
Yes.
destined for
Yes.
greatness. This is just a stop. This is just a roadblock. But you can overcome that roadblock, and we're here to help you to overcome that roadblock. There's thousands of people, maybe millions of people out here who are ready to help you over to carry the torch for you if you're too weak to carry it, and help you over that roadblock so that we can get through it and see you at the end of the tunnel.
Yes. Yes. We're in this
Yes.
fight together, my friend. We are
Yes.
in this fight together. What he says goes.
Yes.
For real. Everything that you said is legit. Yeah. Yeah.
And my last question for both of us before we go from today is what motivates you to stay in this world? What's one thing that motivates you to stay in this world?
One thing? I only have to
One
pick one
thing.
thing.
Yeah, you got to pick one.
It's hard because, like, I want to stay and see how far me and Michael go, but I also want to stay and see how far I can help people, you know?
I'll let you have both of those. You got me
Yeah.
crying.
Yeah, I want to save as many people as I can. That's why I want to write my book. That's why I talk on my YouTube. That's why I do what I do is I want to save somebody.
Yes.
I don't care about the number of how many followers I'm about to have 1,000, but I don't care. That's however many I can save. That's it. How many more I can save, and that so we can hang out too.
Yes.
I gotta hang out with the Josh.
Yeah.
It's gonna happen.
No, it's gonna
December.
happen. Yeah,
December.
December.
Oh yeah.
Definitely. I feel like we definitely got to make a couple of videos when we do hang out in December.
Oh
For
yeah.
me, the one thing that keeps me here is knowing that hope exists, that it does get better.
Oh yeah.
Like that saying,
That's good.
I used to think it's cliche, but when I look back on my life and I look it back through all of the hell that I've been through, all of the surgeries, damn near dying on the table, or having my dad wishing that I wasn't born, or all of these crazy things, even that relationship, I look back at that and then I look towards where I'm at now, and I'm just like, that's an
Crazy.
example of hope. Like having Chloe is an example of hope in my life. Like
Yes.
seeing her
He's so cute.
after being mauled by dogs almost 16 years ago, having her, I got her 2 years ago. So that's year 14. I ended up getting a dog. That's an example that hope exists. And so
Yes.
having that saying be kind of like tattooed in my mind and in my heart, knowing that it does get better, that keeps me alive because it's like whatever I'm going through right now. Like I lost my grandfather, I lost my favorite aunt this summer.
Hey, you're
Uh,
hanging in there. You're being strong,
yeah,
my
yeah.
friend.
Like I'm going through emotional
You
struggles
are.
myself, but like it has been getting better, and it does get better, and that
That's why I
keeps me
worry about
going.
you. If like when you don't text me back, I'm like, oh my god, is he okay?
Yeah,
I get paranoid. That's that big sister in me. I got to
yeah.
protect you and make sure you're safe. That's just it. I
If
want you
anything,
around.
if I ever had got back into any of those situations where I relapsed, I automatically have a list of people who I'm going to
I
contact first,
know.
and you're on
No.
that list. It's only 5 people that I have in my phone. It's a whole. If anyone wants to know how to make a recovery plan, I can make a video on how to make a recovery
Ooh,
plan.
you should
But
do
I
that.
but in my recovery plan or my relapse plan, if I ever relapse, I have a list of things that I have to do in order to sustain my life.
That's the
And the
same. I
first
have
one
the
is to
same.
contact people. The second is to reach out for help for professionals who can help me. The third thing is whatever's stressing me out the most, regardless if it's gonna hurt me, I probably have to cut it out of my life.
Exactly.
I need to go hiking. Like I have it on the bottom of the list. I need to go hiking. If I can't
Nature.
afford to go hiking, get a pizza. If I can't afford a pizza, get a honey bun.
Yeah.
it's it's all a honey. The honey bun is on the list because it's just like
Yeah, you got me
you
eating
need to
honey buns
rebuild.
now.
You gotta rebuild. Like, and it's hard to rebuild, but it's possible.
That's how it
Rebuilding
is
is
with me and
possible.
Michael because he has depression, and I tell him if he thinks of that S word, there's a plan. There's a plan. We
Yeah,
have a plan. Yes, I know there's so many out there that actually do it because I wonder if they even had a plan. You know, did they have a plan? Some might not. So
yes, I
it's
might
always
not.
good to have a plan.
Yes,
Get a plan involved. That works. Yeah.
yeah,
Remember,
and
we're
it
all in this fight together. No matter
yes,
what, you are not alone in this fight.
no.
Not alone.
No. And your story is far from over, and your life is irreplaceable. Like you leaving this world will create a void in many people's lives that you don't know that you've touched. Like your
Exactly.
presence has touched many, many lives. Even if you're someone who's had a troubled past or has a troubled present, like substance abuse or known for being one of those people in the family who are kind of are hostile or semi-hostile, there's still hope. There's still
Yes.
hope that exists for everyone. Recovery can happen. If you are an abuser, there is hope for you. Like you can reform. Everyone can go through a version of reform to help them be the best person that they can be for themselves. But it takes you to want that and to fight for it. Because it's an
Yep.
everyday fight to want to be a better person for you. Not for the next person, but for yourself. Because when
Oh
you do
yes.
it for yourself, that's when you see the most progress. And then that's when others will see that. And then you're like, all right, now I'm doing this for my kids. Now I'm doing this for my significant other. Now I'm being the best person for this person. But it starts with you. It starts with you wanting to be the best person for yourself. Because if you start with the intention that I want to be the best person for my significant other, for my kids, you might start seeing it as a chore. You might start seeing it as a burden. You might not have the motivation for it. But if you look in the mirror and say that I need to see the best version of who's in that mirror for me, for my own life, that will help the car have gas. That will help you keep the ball rolling
Oh
for
yeah.
sure.
Oh yeah. I agree
But
with you wholeheartedly.
any last minute thoughts?
Just make sure you're staying hydrated and make sure you eat something. You know me.
I knew it. I knew it because I was like, she hasn't said it all day. I knew it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for tuning in to this awesome
Thank
episode
you.
of
Oh my god,
Surviving
this was
Domestic
a really
Violence
good one.
with, yes, for surviving domestic violence with me and Kristina, both of survivors ourselves. If you have any questions, any comments, or you can leave feedback on this video. But also, just feel free to reach out to us. We're really open with explaining or talking about the whole experience with you and to helping you, you know, go through your healing journey. Is like we're all a family. We're all a family of admirers, and we're all getting through these storms together. And for the meantime, we're gonna dance in the rain. So if
Yep.
you're having a stormy day, we're gonna dance in the rain with you until the clouds go away and the sun shines.
So
But
true.
thank you again. Sending you lots of love and hugs. And, you know, we love you each and every day. And that you're forever loved here by every single member in this community, those far and those close to you. You never know who's an admirer because admirer touches, I think, 38 countries right now. So we're everywhere.
Damn.
We're everywhere.
Yes, we are.
Bye until next time, guys.
Bye.